In June 1941, Adolf Hitler made a decision so catastrophic it would destroy the Nazi Empire from the inside. At the time, Germany controlled most of Europe. Hitler looked unstoppable. France had fallen in weeks. Britain was struggling to survive. And the German war machine seemed invincible. But then, Hitler made a move that shocked even some of his own generals. He invaded the Soviet Union, a country so massive, so cold, and so unforgiving that no army in history had ever truly conquered it. What followed was not just another battle. It became one of the deadliest military disasters ever recorded. Millions would die, entire cities would burn, and the Nazi dream of world domination would slowly collapse in the snow of Russia. This is the story of the decision that destroyed Hitler's empire.
By 1941, Hitler had become the most feared leader in Europe. Germany had rapidly conquered Poland, Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands, and France. The victories came so fast that the world believed the German army was unstoppable. The strategy was called Blitzkrieg, lightning war, fast tanks, airstrikes, speed, shock. Countries collapsed before they could even react. Inside Germany, Hitler's popularity exploded. Many Germans genuinely believed he was a military genius chosen to restore German greatness after World War I. But Hitler wanted more than Europe. He dreamed of creating a massive German empire stretching deep into Eastern Europe and Russia. And for years, he had obsessed over one goal: destroying the Soviet Union. To Hitler, the war against Russia was not only military, it was ideological. He hated communism. He believed the Soviet state was weak, and he thought the German army could crush it in only a few months. That belief would become fatal.
On June 22, 1941, Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest invasion in human history. Over 3 million German soldiers crossed into Soviet territory. Thousands of tanks rolled across the border. Aircraft filled the skies. At first, the invasion looked like another easy German victory. Soviet forces were caught completely off guard. Entire armies were surrounded. Hundreds of thousands of Soviet soldiers were captured. German commanders believed the war would end before winter. But they were making a deadly mistake. They underestimated Russia. The Soviet Union was enormous. Its territory seemed endless. As German troops advanced deeper into Soviet land, supply lines became dangerously stretched. Fuel became harder to deliver. Food started running low. Vehicles broke down constantly on terrible roads. And then came another problem. The Soviets refused to surrender. Even after massive losses, they kept fighting. Again, and again, and again.
Then winter arrived, and everything changed. Temperatures dropped to horrifying levels, sometimes below -30 degrees Celsius. German soldiers were completely unprepared. Many still wore summer uniforms. Weapons froze. Engines stopped working. Thousands suffered frostbite. Some soldiers froze to death in the snow. Meanwhile, Soviet troops were far more prepared for the brutal conditions. And as the Germans weakened, the Red Army launched massive counterattacks. The German advance toward Moscow slowed, then stopped. For the first time in the war, Hitler's army looked vulnerable. The myth of German invincibility was beginning to collapse, and Hitler refused to accept reality.
Instead of retreating or reorganizing, he ordered his troops to hold their ground at all costs. That decision trapped countless soldiers in impossible conditions. And the losses kept growing.
Then came Stalingrad, one of the bloodiest battles in human history. Hitler became obsessed with capturing the city, not only for strategy, but because it carried Stalin's name. The battle turned into pure horror. Street by street, building by building, room by room. Snipers hid in ruins. Soldiers fought in freezing rubble, surrounded by corpses and destruction. The city became hell on earth. Eventually, Soviet forces surrounded the German Sixth Army. Hitler ordered them not to retreat, but supplies could not reach them. The soldiers were starving, freezing, dying. In early 1943, the remaining German forces surrendered. It was a disaster that shocked the world. For the first time, Nazi Germany was no longer advancing. Now, it was losing.
After Stalingrad, Germany never truly recovered. The Soviet Union began pushing westward with unstoppable force. German casualties became catastrophic. Resources disappeared. Cities were bombed constantly by the Allies. Hitler's invasion of Russia had turned into a nightmare that consumed the German army. By 1945, Soviet troops reached Berlin itself. The empire Hitler dreamed would last 1,000 years collapsed after only 12. And deep beneath Berlin, inside a dark bunker, Hitler realized the truth. The war was over. The invasion that was supposed to make him master of Europe had destroyed him instead.
History is filled with powerful empires that believed they could never fall. But sometimes, one decision is enough to change everything. And in Hitler's case, invading Russia became the mistake that ended the Third Reich forever.